My name is Chidozie Oparanozie. I am from the north side of Pittsburgh, born and raised. I want to say I was born and raised in Urban Impact. I think I started in maybe third or fourth grade. My mom was a counselor and I think maybe a director at some point. We just kind of grew up through the program all the way through high school. I guess long story short, I became a counselor, camp counselor for a couple of years. And then I helped out as like an assistant director 1 year, which was pretty fun. So I started playing soccer with Coach Lenny here at Urban Impact. My dad played professional soccer for a while, and he passed away when I was 11. So he had us going to the different soccer programs here in Pittsburgh, and Coach Lenny was the one program that had, Jesus and Christianity sort of infused in the message as well as the training for soccer. My football career took me to Duquesne University, where I had a full ride scholarship at Duquesne. And after Duquesne, I went and played a year of arena ball out near Philly for a team called the Steelhawks in Lehigh Valley, which was a great experience. Just through all of that time, I was able to really, I had to honestly lean on the Lord to show me where to go next and what resources I was going to need. But yeah, I would say my sports career is still thriving through volunteering and pickup games. I'm happy to have hung up my cleats. That's another reason, I guess, where Urban Impact comes into play. They do a good job of offering all kinds of sports activities, and I would call them maybe like skills training in a way. I always remember going to golf at Diamond Run, I think it was, in the summertime, and that was like one of my favorite experiences, being able to take a trip from the north side out into, I think it's like Mount Nebo area or something like that. Driving golf carts and swinging golf clubs on a range, like as a 13, 14-year-old kid, it was a great experience for sure. So today I am a licensed real estate agent, and I'm also the head of operations with the Home Team, which is a labor tech platform that basically you could look at it as kind of like a moving company. I don't know, I've always loved the idea of being an entrepreneur. My passion has always been to help people and to be in a position to be able to help people. I'm somebody who is looking for ways to bring resources into the community and really hone in on the education side of things. So that's sort of what the Home Team was for me. So, I would say one of the biggest parts of a kid's childhood is the summertime. So you spend a lot of time in school and that's great, but my mom was a teacher in the Pittsburgh public schools for almost 20 years. And one thing that she taught me was the difference between a good student and a great student is how they spend their summer. So it is difficult to restart after a long summer of staying up late and eating snacks and not doing any homework, and that kind of stuff. So being in Urban Impact really gave us that academic structure during the summertime that you didn't get at a lot of other places. And I distinctly remember as a child wanting to go to other camps because they didn't have academics. And I'm like, they get to go to the pool all day, they're going skating, they go to the icy ball man, like, we don't do none of that. Like, if we do, it's once a week. But now looking back on it, I see how crucial it was for us to really be in skills training, in reading, in math, reading our Bible and Bible study, doing memory verses, like all that stuff to this day, I feel like has really created a pillar inside of me to be able to go and utilize when I'm out in different areas. I think another thing that really stuck with me a lot is creating a loving environment. You can feel the difference between an environment that has been purposely created around love versus one that either has just been thrown together or is on the opposite end. Growing up, I guess you can call it in the city or in I guess urban areas or whatnot, there's a love language of picking on people. So just, I guess you could call it bullying, or some people call it endearment, but we have this ability to pick on each other because we feel like we have a love for you. So if nobody's gonna do it, then I'm gonna do it. Or if anybody's gonna do it, I'm gonna be the one to do it. And you should be okay with it because I love you, you know what I mean? And I think that is easy to sort of succumb to, but once you really put a foot down to say like, you know, we're not gonna do that here, we're not gonna continue to talk about each other or continue to use these negative terms or these negative words, the entire scope of what's accomplished in that room or in that establishment changes. I can see just from the fruits of how everything has grown from Pastor Glover and UIF of how the principles and underlying values have never changed. Somebody was asking me the other day, like, so how do you think Urban Impact has changed from when you were a kid to today? Nothing's really changed as far as like creating loving atmospheres, putting Jesus first, making sure kids are safe, right? Like everything is still the same from when I was younger, but now there's just a lot more access to resources that they have now to be able to use and do the things of the Lord to try to help advance the community. Having the ability to go to a camp, where you can be fed, is something that a lot of kids are not seeing during the summertime. And then two, being able to participate in things like golf, cooking classes, tennis, sewing, just you name it. Like there's all kind of things that Urban Impact does. Those are the things that I think start to expand your mind a little bit to think that, oh, I actually do like this, or maybe I can be involved in something like this. It's hard to find role models sometimes, put it that way. Sometimes it's hard to find somebody who does something outside of the norm. So if you want to be a chef and you don't see any successful black men as chefs and you're a little black boy, sometimes it's hard to imagine what that looks like to be a chef, right? Or if you want to play tennis or something like that, like sometimes you need that role model who's not Tiger Woods or Serena Williams, because sometimes that seems unattainable. You need that camp counselor who's going to knock out 90 push-ups in front of you and show you like, you don't need to be like an NFL linebacker to do 100 push-ups, right? You can be a camp counselor, you can be a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever. So you can push yourself in different ways outside of what seems to be the norm. So I know for us growing up, it was basketball, football, or you were just really good with your grades. Like you got really good grades. And that was kind of it. That was really all I saw as an option. And for me, I want to make sure that kids nowadays start to see that while those may be some valuable options, there are a ton of options out there. And it's just a matter of getting them connected to people who are willing to help them in those moments of inquiry, right? Where they're trying to figure out like, what do I actually like? What do I want to do? And not be sort of shot down in that moment of vulnerability. Because when you're learning something and you're trying to get good at it, if you have people attacking you about your ability, it's so hard to continue, right? So I feel like Urban Impact provided a place for us to try things without judgment, you know what I mean? To go and golf and be a black kid golfing and have no problem. So yeah, I think Urban Impact in general, like I said, has always kept the principles and the values that make sure that every child sort of has this similar experience of being nurtured and loved and like brought up through that culture of just, I would say a loving environment is because God is love. So if you're creating a loving environment, then God's naturally going to be involved in that environment. Somebody asked me the other day, like, why don't I go to different places to go out to eat so much, this, that, and the third? How can I just go in the kitchen and just cook something? I'm like, when I go to the grocery store, I always try to buy things that I know at any point during the week, I may want to eat those things, right? So when you're out watching TV or hanging with friends, if the things that you're consuming or you're buying, quote unquote, or you're getting are things that are not healthy for you, when it comes time to prepare a meal, right? Whether that's witnessing to somebody or talking to a younger child or journaling or just being creative, sometimes you find these roadblocks because you've been feeding yourself stuff that's not so good. So I think for me, it's just a matter of what are you constantly putting in so that when the time comes, you're always ready. right? And that's what I feel like Urban Impact makes sure that the counselors are trained, the campers know they know the deal for, like, we go over it a bunch as far as like creating a loving environment and making sure that everybody's safe and accounted for and everybody eats, everybody has everything they need. Once those things are set in place, it's almost inevitable that everybody has like some sort of benefit coming from that situation. So that's what I really love about Urban Impact, is they really make sure that when they are serious about something, it gets done, and they follow through on making sure that it was done the right way.